Of all the 5 hour long WrestleManias, this is probably the best one. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my WrestleMania review series, and I am here to talk about WrestleMania 33. The ultimate thrill ride. This one had a lot of cool things. Um, it definitely has that issue that a lot of these WrestleManias have up to this point where it starts off really, really strong and then it just feels like you have been dragging the show for way too long. So it's very fitting that this show is not as memorable, but it kind of sucks because this was actually a really solid show. Again, it's those last 2 hours that really ruin it for you. But for the most part, I was really entertained. This was around the time where wrestling was getting rebuilt. SmackDown was it. We had Ryan Ward writing. He had a little bit of star power, but he worked his way to make the show the best he possibly could. Raw was good, but 3 hours was dragging it. Plus, you only relied on the same four people: Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. And then for the women, it was mainly just Charlotte and Sasha. So there was a lot of repetition around this time, but slowly things picked up for WrestleMania, and the build-up was pretty good. It was weird. You can tell that they wanted to go a different direction with certain guys, but at the end, the boss had the final say, so he got to change things up for his benefit. And it was kind of like them saying, okay, fine, we'll give you these matches, but we're going to write them our way. And for the most part, they wrote them pretty good. Whether or not the matches deliver, well, we'll talk about them. Big rant before we start the show. We had the Cruiserweight Championship on the pre-show. No SmackDown Tag Team titles. They ended up moving them to the Battle Royal. And Dean Ambrose had his final WrestleMania on the kickoff. Yeah, the kickoff, man, they did these guys wrong. I do feel bad for these guys involved. There was a lot of star power around this time. No Sami Zayn. Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin did the best that they could, but the feud itself was okay, not WrestleMania worthy, if I'm being honest. Even though Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin are on the poster, they got debunked. I felt real bad for them. Tinashe sings America the Beautiful. She also plays one of the theme songs for WrestleMania 33. She did alright. Not really known of who Tinashe is, but she did a good job, so I can't really get mad about this. WrestleMania 3 kicks off with this cool video package of a bunch of fans getting into this ride, going around checking out all the wrestlers that are going to be a part of WrestleMania. This basically spoiled you what's going to close, what's going to be the main event, what's going to be where, and the importance. The fact that Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho weren't in the video package really upset me, and I can see why Jericho ended up leaving to AEW. Well, to New Japan and then eventually AEW. New Day kick off the night as the host of WrestleMania. They were possibly the savior of why this show worked for what it was, and I like that they had a lot of involvement in matches. One in particularly, which we'll get to. The first match, which was AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. The story here is that AJ Styles had carried SmackDown ever since the draft. He was WWE champion. He was the face that runs the place, and they did nothing for him. You know, the WWE title match was Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. They had nothing for him. AJ got pissed, so he beats up Shane McMahon, and Shane McMahon said, alright, fine, you want a match? I'll give you a match, and it'll be against me. And this match was a banger. An amazing way to kick off the night. Who would have thought that Shane McMahon, of all people, at this age, had the best match? To many people, this was the show stealer. To me, it wasn't the show stealer. I'll tell you what that is later. But this was a really good match, and I really enjoyed it. The back and forth. The counters, Shane McMahon taking big, heavy dives onto the announce table, almost missing the announce table. There's a part where the referee is knocked down. This reminded me of Mania 17's Undertaker and Triple H, where the ref was out and they basically pull out the weapons. They really only pulled out a trash can, and he does the coast to coast. Well, Shane does. They do a lot of cool reverses. I didn't even know that Shane McMahon could do the airborne, but this had really good counters. AJ Styles got his moment. He got his first WrestleMania victory against Shane McMahon, and then AJ Styles became a babyface, rightfully deserved, because AJ Styles was hands down the most over part of SmackDown around this time. If you look at SmackDown between 2016 through 2018, AJ Styles was the man on SmackDown. Then we get the infamous match that changed the landscape for the competition, and that is Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. Now, I will say that I understand why Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens got bunked down to not the main event, given that we thought that The Undertaker was going to retire, plus Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. As a business standpoint, I understand. With that said, them being second was kind of disrespectful. They really should have gone on first, and they should have been on the video package. Instead, we get the video package in the middle of Kevin Owens' entrance. That showed you the amount of care that Vince had for this match, and for them to say this is the worst match in WrestleMania history is stupid. A lot of people say that this match is okay. I personally think this match was better than AJ Styles and Shane McMahon. I really enjoyed this. They have great chemistry. They had good counters. I like the callback to the mural of Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho touching fingers, with Kevin Owens touching the ropes with one finger. This was a great feud. Two best friends. Eventually, Kevin Owens gets jealous and he gets mad that he put him in a position where he had to fight Goldberg, only for Jericho to cost him the belt, and then they have a match for the U.S. belt at WrestleMania. This was a great match. I really enjoyed it. The pop-up powerbomb to Jericho, taking him out, making Kevin Owens more brutal, and this eventually led to the Face of America gimmick. And then Chris Jericho had some other appearances here and there, but the big thing coming out of this was that Chris Jericho was on his way to New Japan very soon after this. Then we get, for the Raw Women's Championship, a fatal 4-way elimination match between the Raw Women's Champion Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Nia Jax. Now, I'm a little bit conflicted with this match. I personally think that this had potential of being a show stealer yet again, but the elimination aspect kind of took me away from it, because there's a lot of stopping and going, and it could have worked if they had eliminated Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair first, and then the final two were Bayley and Sasha Banks. Not only that, I personally wish that Charlotte Flair walked into this match as the Raw Women's Champion. I think it would have been more impactful with the story being told like that. Also, to top it off, Charlotte had the last entrance, so why didn't she walk into WrestleMania as the Raw Women's Champion? That was the only thing that I thought was dumb, because at Fastlane, she lost her streak. Up to this point, Charlotte was the queen of pay-per-views. Every Raw, she would lose the belt, but then she would gain it back on the pay-per-view. There was a lot of meat in this story. We had Charlotte and Sasha rekindling their feud, Bayley being the newcomer, and then Nia Jax just squashing people. So they did a good job of building all four of these women, but I would say that if this was just a regular Fatal 4-Way, this would have gone down as a better match. But I was happy with the fact that Bayley got her moment. She won the Raw Women's Champion. She was still the Raw Women's Champion. See, I keep saying, like, Charlotte should have walked in as champion. It would have been more impactful that way. WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. Let's get the legacy out of the way. Martin Burns, June Byers, Haystack Calhoun, Judy Grable, Dr. Jerry Graham, Luther Lindsay, Toots Mons, Rick Dozan, and Bearcat Wright. The only one I know is Bearcat Wright because of Bearcat Keith Lee. Remember that awful gimmick? Let's talk about the actual class. The Warrior Award gave it to Eric Legrand. I've actually seen this guy speak, so this kind of gave me good feel. So I was happy for Eric Legrand. I didn't even know he was a wrestling fan, but kudos for him. The Rock and Roll Express, people remember this for Jim Cornette inducting them. Rock and Roll Express, well deserved, and then they ended up wrestling for a couple weeks on in, if you guys remember that time. Ravishing Rick Rude, a long time coming. Part of the reason why they took forever is because there was a lot of heat for Rick Rude after the Montreal screw job. Beth Phoenix, I think they put her in the Hall of Fame way too soon. There was so many other people that could have gone before Beth Phoenix, and even she can admit that. This was just for her to be called the youngest Hall of Famer ever, not named Connor the Crusher. DDP, well deserved, amazing work in WCW. Teddy Long, the greatest general manager in the history of WWE for me. I liked him more than Eric Bischoff. I like a good babyface GM, holla holla player. The Undertaker tag team match player. I love Teddy Long. Well deserved. And then, of course, the headliner, Kurt Angle. We were all hype for Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was a GOAT, and very happy that Kurt Angle got it. So, yeah, good class. I was so happy. I grew up with most of these guys. So, yeah, pretty cool. Then we get the match that everybody talks about when they look at WrestleMania 33, and that is the Raw Tag Team Championship match. Now, a lot of you may have forgotten who was in this match exactly, except the winners. But the champions walking into this were Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They took on Cesaro and Sheamus before they were called The Bar. And then they took on Enzo and Big Cass. Remember when those guys were a thing? How you doing? But then, the part that people remember the most was that the New Day, the host of WrestleMania, come on out and they announced that this match is going to be a fatal four-way. They're in their ring gear. They tease that they are going to be the fourth team added into the match, which is very fitting, only for them to back up, and then they play the Hardy Boys theme song, and then I immediately bought this shirt because I was hyped. Obviously, we were excited to see the broken gimmick. Turns out that they didn't really see a lot of potential in it. I really wish that they went all out with the Broken Universe Matt Hardy. They ended up going their separate ways later, but I was happy that they got the introduction or the reintroduction for them correctly. This was really good. Really, they carried this match because none of these guys are really known for ladders. So thankfully they did. And keep in mind, at this point, they had a ladder match with the Young Bucks the night before. So that just shows you the testament of how crazy these guys can get. Jeff Hardy does this ladder spot to the bar. He hits Cesaro with Sheamus on the side. He missed Sheamus, and I could tell Sheamus was like, "Oh, thank God they missed me." There was a lot of other cool spots. The Cesaro doing the swing to Carl Anderson. Big Cass throwing Enzo Amore like a rag doll. Eventually, the Hardy Boys win. Good mark out moment. The first ever victory in Jeff Hardy's career at WrestleMania. That's saying something. So I was happy for that aspect. Good match, good feel good moment. I am ready to move on. Then we get John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maurice. Now, when we heard that this match was going to happen, we all collectively said that this match should not happen. It looks stupid. It looks dumb. And it was. So much so that they worked their butt off to write a valid story. So I will never forget this moment where the Miz calls out John Cena saying that he is a corporate man who does whatever he wants. He has the final say and stuff. And John Cena said, if I had all this power in WWE, you think I would be sitting here talking to you in the middle of WrestleMania weekend? No, I would be talking to the Undertaker. And then Marie slaps Cena. Nikki Bella comes to defend her man. The whole story was that Nikki Bella isn't married, so we all knew where this was going. The Miz and Maurice mock Total Bellas. It was genius, and then they even add in Daniel Bryan to the mix because at this point the Miz and Daniel Bryan were feuding, but Daniel Bryan wasn't cleared yet. Um, Honestly, the story was funny and entertaining and pretty good. The good back and forth with John Cena calling out the Miz, and then Miz mocking John Cena with the house rules, the scripts of somebody holding the signs. It was just brilliantly done. But then we get to the match, and it was not good. It was not supposed to be good. Al Rooker was the ring announcer for whatever reason. I was, for the most part, fine with this. It wasn't supposed to be good. It was just supposed to be entertaining, and The Miz was entertaining. That was the best part of this entire match. And the only thing that people will talk about was John Cena proposing to Nikki Bella, and that leading to nothing because they ended up calling out off their wedding. It's infamous. It's everybody knows it. So, and it felt very forced. It was like, really, John Cena's gonna propose on live TV of all places. So, anyways, let's move on. Unsanctioned match. Triple H versus Seth Rollins. The story here was that Triple H had betrayed Seth Rollins because he didn't feel that he was ready for being the top guy. When he got injured. So there was like no point of giving him that silver platter. It was well told. I like that they even played off an injury. Seth Rollins legit got injured at this build up, and we all thought, oh my goodness, Seth Rollins gonna miss WrestleMania again. But then this played into a story, and it was just perfect. Seth Rollins keeps defending Mick Foley around this time, who was the GM. Them going back and forth, only for Triple H to get the upper hand because, of course, Seth Rollins is injured. We all thought this was the end for Seth Rollins, and then Triple H offers an unsanctioned match, a match where they fight, but Seth Rollins cannot sue after it. I love the story that they told here. I even enjoyed that moment where Seth Rollins takes over NXT in the middle of the show, basically playing off NXT and WWE. This was really cool. The entrances were pretty good. I love Seth Rollins' ring attire with the gold. It just looked cool. The match itself, it was a typical no holds barred match, but it was good. I really enjoyed the match. A lot of people hate it because it wasn't your typical unsanctioned match. They weren't in street clothes. I think Triple H should have been in street clothes. Seth Rollins obviously wanting to be in gold. But this match was really good. I'm shocked Stephanie didn't get involved as much as she did. The most she did was fall into the table. I really enjoyed the match. I really wish this was the night where we brought back the curb stomp. But unfortunately, we had to wait a whole year to get the curb stomp back. So, the match, well told, well done. It wasn't my match of the night just yet. I do enjoy this more than Styles and Shane. Maybe not as much as Jericho and Owens. Again, my hot take, I enjoyed that match more. But again, up to this point, we've had a pretty good show. And this is only 6 matches in. And so far, the show has been a banger. But then we get a Pitbull concert. They sing Greenlight. They sing this other song with the one of the Marleys. This took up so much time. People didn't care. They didn't even react. They didn't boo. Nothing. They're just like, okay, fine. We're playing Greenlight. Which I'm gonna say, Greenlight as a theme song, it's a catchy tune, but it makes no sense. The song is about having sex, and Yeah, this is not a good song for WrestleMania. I'm like, really, this is the song they went with? Okay, I guess. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Now, I'll admit the story itself was good. It was pretty much Bray Wyatt constantly getting over on Bray Wyatt, so much so that Randy Orton just said, you know what, I'm just going to have to join him. And join him he did. He was a part of the Wyatt family. They did amazing work at Survivor Series. And then they became in the final three at the Royal Rumble. And Roman takes out Bray Wyatt, but then Randy Orton gets the surprise victory. And everybody was like, what? Randy Orton is going to go to WrestleMania? It threw us off, but in the story that they were telling, it made sense. Bray Wyatt becomes the WWE champion at the Elimination Chamber, one of the best moments of all time, only for this match to happen. The story was good. Randy Orton finally betraying Bray Wyatt. I wish that they went like, oh, uh, Bray Wyatt, I can't turn on you, so I'm going to uh Raw to fight the Universal Champion. They never went that route. Instead, they just gave up his Royal Rumble spot. That was the only thing that I thought was stupid. It does play a big part in when AJ Styles has his match with Shane, so that was pretty good. I thought that this match was bad. The whole worms, the crickets, and stuff in the ground, it was stupid. Side note, Randy Orton's entrance was odd. There was supposed to be like a snake following him, but the head was so big and then the body of the snake was so tiny. It looked like a big sperm following Randy Orton. I don't know if you guys remember that. So awesome to see Bray Wyatt walk in as WWE champion, but this match was just terrible. I really wish that Randy Orton had just simply beat the crap out of him. They could have played the part of Luke Harper, who didn't trust Randy Orton from the beginning, play a huge role in this. Maybe Eric Rowan could have came back. I think deep down they should have had Bray Wyatt have his moment if he was going to be messing around with Randy this whole time. Plus, if Randy Orton lost, we would not have gotten Jinder Mahal as WWE champion. I think we can all agree that was a big turn for the worst. Then we get for the Universal Championship Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. Now the story was that Goldberg was supposed to be the babyface and Brock Lesnar the heel, but then the role switch when Goldberg took the belt off of Kevin Owens and Goldberg got booed and Brock Lesnar was the babyface. That's right, a guy who people hated for so long becomes the babyface. That is just a testament of how good Brock Lesnar is. Even as a part-timer, he somehow managed to get cheered. Eventually he gets booed later on, but man, when I tell you that this match had no right to be this good, it had no right to be this good. This was my match of the night. It was pretty much Brock Lesnar and Goldberg suplex, spear, suplex, spear. It was just balls to the wall everywhere. 10 suplex. This is around the time where Ty Dillinger was getting over, so they were chanting 10 for Brock Lesnar. F5, F5s. It was just the match that was 13 years too late. This should have been the match that we got in at WrestleMania 20. We get it at WrestleMania 33, and this should have really been the last Goldberg match. For some stupid reason, Goldberg came back. Of course, he came back for the money, but at least we can say that Brock Lesnar had a great match with Goldberg, and Brock Lesnar won. This led to his reign of terror, if you want to call it that, of him being Universal Champion and only defending it every once in a while. For this match, I was satisfied. Then we get a match that I thought was going to be completely cut out of the show, but they managed to squeeze it in here. It was a six-pack challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It was Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Carmella, Naomi, Mickie James, and Natalya. Okay match. This was really just for Naomi to have her moment. It was supposed to be a fatal five-way, but it became a six-pack challenge after Naomi was cleared to compete, and rightfully so that Naomi got her moment. But now we move on to the main event. Last minute change. This became a no holds barred match. The Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. Undertaker wanting to fight Roman Reigns for whatever reason. Roman talking about how it's his yard now, and he's going to prove it by taking down The Undertaker once and for good. We all thought this was going to be Undertaker's retirement, and we all thought that this was gonna be the night Roman Reigns turned heel. Instead, it was this whole like, oh, I respect the Undertaker, but he doesn't understand. Like, just go all out with him. If Roman Reigns turned heel, we would have looked at this fondly. Instead, we see it as this 25-minute match where Roman Reigns does more moves on Undertaker. Undertaker can barely move. There's a botched tombstone. The match happened. It was fine. I really wish that it was Roman Reigns just beating up the Undertaker. 10-minute match, 15, maybe 12. And then Roman Reigns goes over. And I think nobody got mad that Roman Reigns went over. I think people got more mad that Undertaker came back after this. Because this really could have made Roman Reigns like the top heel in the company, but instead they were still heavily focused on making him the babyface, and it just did not work. They had to bring in the Shield to try to get him over as a babyface, but it just wasn't working, and the fans weren't having it. Big moment where Undertaker puts his clothes back on. He takes his gloves, puts his robe, puts the hat down, and you have that image of the Undertaker attire on the floor. Him kissing Michelle McCool, him leaving and walking down. It could have been the perfect retirement, but Undertaker just managed to ruin it. You could watch the Last Ride documentary if you think I'm going crazy, but yeah. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, the only two men who have beaten The Undertaker. Gee, I wonder what the main event's gonna be next year. For the most part, I enjoyed the show. The undercard was really strong. The world title match between Randy and Bray really bunked it down. The concert bunked it down. And then the main event, whether you liked it or not, there's some people. I remember watching it when it came out. I enjoyed the match, but honestly, looking back at it, it's not that good of a match. So because of it, it does bring it down, and it's sad. Luckily, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar saved it from being a train wreck of a second half of the show. But the first 2 hours were top notch, very enjoyable. So because of it, I'm going to give this show a B minus. I only wish that this show was a little bit shorter, a lot shorter, if I'm being honest. But I can't really get mad. This show was enjoyable. The only real problem was that the show was way too long and some booking decisions were stupid. I'm glad that they at least got the writing staff correct for this show to work. Let's move on to WrestleMania 34. And yeah, I'll see you all then.